The Galactic Auction was the most famous event in the entire universe. It was where beings from across the galaxy came together to buy and sell extraordinary things: ships, weapons, technology, and even entire planets. Every year, the auction attracted representatives from the most powerful races in the galaxy, some peaceful, others aggressive, but all with one thing in common: they wanted to gain something valuable. On this particular day, the excitement in the air was electric. The auction hall was massive, with floating platforms displaying various goods. Species from all corners of the galaxy filled the room, murmuring in excitement. The high-end technology on display was unlike anything seen before. Sleek ships with glistening hulls, weapons capable of immense power and strange, alien artifacts that sparked curiosity in everyone who looked at them. But today, there was one item that was different from the rest. A ship that stood apart from all the others. It wasn't beautiful or sleek. In fact, it looked old, worn and scarred from battles long past. It had the appearance of a ship that had seen far too many wars. The ship was called the Iron Fist. For many, the Iron Fist was nothing but a relic, a symbol of a violent, aggressive past. The ship was a warship designed for destruction. It had been used by a ruthless group in the galaxy, who were known for their relentless fighting. The hull of the ship was covered in deep scratches and burns from countless battles. Its weapons were outdated, and it looked like it had been abandoned for years. Most beings in the galaxy could see no value in the Iron Fist. No one wanted a warship that had no place in the peaceful world they were now building. The Iron Fist was loud, heavy, and too dangerous. It was a reminder of a time when violence ruled, and many species had worked hard to move away from that history. Even the auction organizers seemed hesitant to put it on display, but in the end it was included, just to see if someone would take the risk. As the auction began, the focus shifted to this old warship. It was almost like the room held its breath, wondering who would dare bid on such an old, aggressive ship. The representatives from various species in the auction room exchanged glances, many shaking their heads in disbelief. Why would anyone want this ship? Then a young human stepped forward. Adam Soren was an unknown figure in the grand scheme of the galaxy. He was not from a wealthy or powerful race. He didn't represent a government, an empire, or a military. In fact, Adam came from a small planet called Earth, a place that most beings across the galaxy barely knew of. But Adam had something that others didn't: ambition. Standing tall in the center of the room, Adam didn't look like much. He was young, only in his early 20s, with short, messy brown hair and a determined look on his face. He wore a simple engineer's suit, nothing flashy or important. He didn't have the expensive, shining armor that many of the auction-goers wore. Yet when Adam spoke, it was clear he wasn't afraid of the bigger, more powerful figures in the room. "I'll take it," Adam said, his voice calm but strong. The crowd fell silent. The representatives from other species stared at him, some in confusion, others in disbelief. How could this human possibly want a ship like the Iron Fist? Was he crazy? Everyone knew that no one wanted the ship. It was too dangerous, too aggressive, and simply too old. Yet this young human, who had no reputation, no power, and no obvious backing, had made his choice. He wanted the ship. The auctioneer raised his hand, signaling the beginning of the bidding. "We begin with a starting bid of 10,000 galactic credits," he announced. "Do we have any offers?" No one raised their hand. The room stayed still, as if waiting for someone to make the first move. But it was clear, no one was interested in the ship. Adam stood firm, his eyes fixed on the Iron Fist as if it were a treasure. He didn't move, didn't flinch. He knew this ship had potential. It wasn't about the way it looked or how old it was. It was about what it could become. The auctioneer looked around, then hesitated. "Very well," he said. "The ship is not exactly in high demand. Starting at 5,000 credits, then." Still, no one moved. The auctioneer glanced at Adam, who remained calm. This was a game to him. He knew how to play it. His fingers twitched ever so slightly, ready to make his move. The room was tense, but Adam never took his eyes off the ship. The ship was his, he was certain of it. 5,000 credits. Adam called out, his voice ringing across the room. It was clear now, he wasn't backing down. The room buzzed with whispers. Going once, going twice. The auctioneer paused, looking around the room one last time. Still, no other bids came forward. Adam had won. Sold, the auctioneer shouted. his voice carrying a mixture of surprise and relief. "To the young human for 5,000 credits." The room was filled with murmurs, most of them disbelieving. Adam Soren had won the ship. The human who had no backing, no fleet, and no reputation had outlasted everyone else, and now the Iron Fist was his. A few of the representatives stared at Adam as he walked towards the ship. They exchanged glances, shaking their heads. What did he see in the ship? Why would he waste his money on a hunk of metal that was sure to be a disappointment? Some of them were sure he would regret his decision, but Adam didn't care. He had seen something others hadn't: potential. Where others saw only destruction, he saw a vessel that could be reborn. Where others saw an outdated warship, he saw a blank canvas for something greater. The Iron Fist wasn't just a ship to Adam. It was the beginning of something new, something only he could create. As Adam took the first steps towards the Iron Fist, the ship loomed over him. Its metal surface was scratched, its engines were old, and its weapons were rusted. But to Adam it was perfect. He had plans, grand plans, to restore it, to make it into something that would change everything. And in his heart he knew one thing: the Iron Fist was going to be legendary. No one could see it yet, but he could. He had always believed in humanity's ability to rise, to adapt, and to create. Adam smiled. This ship was his, and with it he would make history. Adam Soren stood on the deck of the Iron Fist, staring at the warship before him. The auction hall was behind him, the noise of the crowd fading away as he walked toward the ship. He was alone, with no one to help him, but that didn't bother him. In fact, Adam preferred it that way. It wasn't the crowd's opinion that mattered now. It was the potential of the ship that kept him focused. The Iron Fist was in rough shape. The ship's massive hull, once a strong symbol of power, was battered from years of service in battle. Parts of it were scratched and burned, the scars of endless wars. Its weapons, still large and dangerous-looking, were outdated, rusted with age. The ship's engine was sluggish, its systems barely functioning. Yet in Adam's eyes, the Iron Fist was more than just a collection of old parts. It was a project, a challenge, a chance to prove that humanity had the ability to make something great, no matter how impossible it seemed. The first thing Adam did was inspect the ship thoroughly. He walked up the metal ramp and entered the dark interior. The inside of the ship was just as worn down as the outside. The walls were lined with old, cracked control panels, and the air was thick with the smell of rust and dust. The floors creaked under his weight, but Adam didn't feel discouraged. Instead, he felt excitement building in his chest. He saw beyond the damage and decay. To most other species, the Iron Fist was a relic of a violent past. They saw a ship meant for destruction, a symbol of everything that had gone wrong in the galaxy's history. But Adam wasn't interested in what others saw. He didn't care about the ship's past. What mattered was the future, and he was going to make sure the Iron Fist had a future. Adam walked over to the nearest control panel, which was cracked and flickering. He carefully tapped a few buttons, trying to bring the system online. The display screen blinked to life, but it was unstable. Lines of code scrolled too quickly for him to read. This wasn't going to be an easy fix, but Adam didn't mind. He liked challenges. In fact, he thrived on them. He pulled out a small portable toolkit from his belt and began working. The tools were simple, nothing fancy or special. Just a set of basic human tools, the kind anyone could find in a workshop on Earth. Adam's hands moved quickly, confidently, as he worked to repair the system. He had always been good with machines ever since he was a child back on Earth. His father had taught him how to take things apart and put them back together. Adam had always loved tinkering with things, fixing them, making them better. And now he was doing just that, only on a much larger scale. The hours passed and Adam barely noticed. He was so focused on the work that the world outside the ship seemed to fade away. The only thing that mattered was the task at hand. He repaired the engines first, cleaning out the rust and replacing the broken parts. The ship had a powerful but inefficient engine. Adam's goal was to make it faster and more fuel efficient, so it could fly longer distances without using too much energy. He replaced the old fuel lines and installed new, stronger parts that he had crafted himself. Slowly but surely the engine came back to life. Next, Adam moved on to the weapons systems. The Iron Fist had been built for battle, so it had a wide range of offensive capabilities. But these weapons were old, unreliable, and too bulky. Adam wanted to make them more efficient, not just more powerful. He carefully dismantled the outdated cannons and replaced them with new energy-based weapons that were lighter, more precise, and capable of adapting to different combat situations. It wasn't just about raw power, it was about smart tactical thinking. The most difficult part of the transformation, however, was the ship's AI system. The original AI had been designed for military operations, but it was limited and, in many ways, outdated. It lacked the kind of adaptive intelligence that Adam believed was necessary for the future. Humans, after all, were known for their ability to think creatively, to adapt and learn from their mistakes. Adam's plan was to upgrade the AI, turning it into something unique. He wanted the ship to think like a human, not just follow orders. He worked day and night connecting wires, installing new processors, and writing complex code that would allow the AI to evolve. It was hard work, and Adam knew that it could take months, maybe even years, to fully complete. But he didn't mind. Each small step forward was a victory. Over time, Adam started to notice changes. The ship's systems were becoming more responsive. The AI, once sluggish and robotic, was beginning to show signs of life. It started to ask questions, to analyze its surroundings, and even make suggestions. It wasn't perfect yet, but it was getting there. Adam had always believed that human ingenuity could bring about change, even in the most impossible situations. And now, with every new upgrade, he saw that belief becoming a reality. But as the days went on, Adam started to feel the weight of his mission. The work was exhausting, and the isolation was starting to take a toll on him. There were no other humans here to help, no allies to lean on. He was alone in a galaxy full of species that viewed him as insignificant. Many still believed humanity didn't belong in the greater galactic community. Some had even laughed at him when he first bought the Iron Fist. They had thought he was a fool. But Adam wasn't a fool. He knew that the Iron Fist wasn't just a ship. It was a message. It was proof that humanity had something special to offer the galaxy, something no one else could replicate. It wasn't just about technology or power. It was about the will to rise, the ability to adapt, and the creativity to think outside the box. That was what Adam was trying to prove. He wasn't just restoring an old warship. He was restoring humanity's place in the galaxy. And with every passing day, the Iron Fist was becoming more than just a ship. It was becoming a symbol of what humanity could achieve when it set its mind to something. As Adam continued to work on the ship, he began to feel a sense of pride. It was still far from perfect, but it was getting there. The engines hummed with power. The weapon systems were sleek and efficient, and the AI was beginning to show signs of real intelligence. Adam knew that the hard part was still ahead. He would have to test the ship, prove that it could stand up to the most advanced vessels in the galaxy. But for now, he was content to take things one step at a time. He took a moment to step back and admire his work. The Iron Fist was no longer just a hulking mass of metal. It was a new beginning. It was a ship that could change the future. And as Adam stood there looking at the glowing lights of the ship's control panel, he couldn't help but smile. He had made the impossible possible. The universe might not yet understand what the Iron Fist was capable of, but Adam knew it. And that was enough. Weeks passed, and the Iron Fist was beginning to take shape. Adam had transformed the ship from a rusted relic of the past into something that, though still rough around the edges, had potential. The engines were powerful, the weapon systems efficient, and the AI, once clunky and slow, had evolved into something almost alive. But despite all the progress Adam had made, there was one thing that still remained. The Iron Fist had to prove itself. The opportunity came when a message arrived from the Galactic Council. It was an invitation to an official combat trial. The trial was meant to test the capabilities of warships, assessing them on their performance in combat, speed, and adaptability. The Council had heard rumors of Adam's work, but they were skeptical. A human, alone, restoring an ancient warship, surely it was impossible. Adam read the message twice before it fully sank in. This was it, the chance he had been waiting for. The trial was an opportunity to show the galaxy that humanity was more than just a small, insignificant species. This was his moment. He couldn't afford to fail. The trial would take place in a simulated combat zone, a vast area of space filled with obstacles, enemy ships, and dangerous conditions. Each ship would face a series of challenges, and only those that performed well would be allowed to advance. It was a high-stakes event, one that could make or break his dream. Adam didn't hesitate. He immediately set to work, fine-tuning the ship, making sure every system was running smoothly. He ran tests on the engines, checked the AI's response times, and ensured the weapons were calibrated correctly. But despite his preparation, a small part of him was nervous. He had never commanded a ship in combat before, and he had no military experience. All he had was his intuition and his belief in what the Iron Fist could become. On the day of the trial, Adam arrived at the space station where the event was being held. The station was massive, orbiting a barren planet on the outskirts of the galaxy. Ships from every corner of the universe had gathered, sleek and powerful vessels from well-established civilizations. Adam's ship, in comparison, looked small, battered and out of place. But Adam didn't care what the other competitors thought. He had a job to do. The other ship captains looked at him with a mix of amusement and disbelief. A human alone piloting the Iron Fist? They had heard the stories, of course. They had heard of the young human who had bought the ship at the Galactic auction. Some found it ridiculous, while others saw it as a joke. But Adam wasn't here for their approval. He was here to prove something, to show them that humanity was capable of more than they thought. The trial began with a series of speed tests. Ships had to navigate through a dangerous asteroid field, avoiding collisions and maneuvering as fast as possible. Adam watched as the other ships raced ahead, their sleek designs allowing them to move with precision. When it was his turn, he sat in the pilot's seat, his hands gripping the controls. The ship's AI, now fully integrated, spoke to him in a calm, steady voice. "Ready, Captain Soren," the AI said, initiating course. "We have a clear path ahead." Adam's heart raced, but he kept his focus. He knew that the Iron Fist wasn't the fastest ship, but it was built for endurance. It could take a few hits and keep going. He initiated the ship's engines, and the Iron Fist surged forward, cutting through the asteroid field with surprising agility. The ship may not have been as sleek as the others, but Adam had designed it to be able to handle difficult situations, like navigating tight spaces. The asteroids came fast, but Adam's hands moved with precision. He steered the ship through the field, dodging rocks, his eyes fixed on the ever-changing path ahead. The ship shook as an asteroid clipped its outer hull, but it held steady. The Iron Fist wasn't a ship built for speed, but it was resilient, and Adam's steady hand kept it on course. When the test ended, the other ships had finished long before Adam, but the Iron Fist had held its ground. The other pilots were quick to scoff, but Adam remained focused. The ship had survived, and that was enough for him. The true test wasn't how fast the ship could go, it was how well it could endure. Next came the weapons test. The competitors were each given a series of enemy targets to destroy in a simulation. Ships would be tested on the accuracy and power of their weapons, as well as their ability to engage in combat under pressure. Adam wasn't worried about the weapons. He knew the Iron Fist's energy-based weapons were superior to the old cannons that had once equipped the ship. They were fast, precise, and powerful, and the AI could adapt to different combat situations. As Adam entered the combat zone, enemy drones appeared on his display. The ship's weapon systems locked onto the targets with ease, and Adam fired. The first drone was destroyed in a burst of energy. The second drone followed soon after. The third, fourth, and fifth drones all fell to the Iron Fist's advanced weaponry, each shot accurate and deadly. But as Adam was about to destroy the final drone, something unexpected happened. A new ship appeared on the radar, a dark, heavily armed vessel that moved quickly, positioning itself to intercept Adam's attack. It was unlike anything Adam had seen before. The ship was sleek, fast, and had the unmistakable markings of a well-known military faction. For a moment, Adam hesitated. The trial was supposed to be a simulation, but this was no simulation. This was real. A real enemy ship had entered the combat zone, and Adam had no idea what its intentions were. "Captain Soren," the AI said calmly, "we have detected an unidentified ship. It's targeting us." Adam's heart skipped a beat. This was not part of the plan. But he didn't have time to panic. His mind raced. The ship was fast, but the Iron Fist had something the other ships didn't: adaptability. Adam quickly adjusted the ship's weapons and rerouted the power systems, giving the energy-based cannons more strength. He wasn't sure if it would be enough, but he had no choice. He had to act. The enemy ship fired first. A beam of energy shot toward the Iron Fist, but Adam wasn't caught off guard. He quickly adjusted the ship's course, dodging the blast. The enemy ship followed, trying to predict his next move. Adam gritted his teeth, his hands moving swiftly over the controls. He fired back, the energy blasts from the Iron Fist striking the enemy ship with precision. The enemy ship tried to evade, but it was slower than the Iron Fist. Then Adam saw an opening. He fired a direct hit, sending the enemy ship into a spin. The ship's systems were failing, its weapons offline. Adam had done it. He had defeated a real enemy ship in a simulated combat zone. The trial ended and Adam was breathless. He had done what many thought was impossible. He had taken a ship that was once rejected by the galaxy and turned it into something extraordinary. His heart was racing, but he couldn't stop smiling. The Iron Fist had proven itself. The other competitors looked on in silence. Some were impressed, others simply stunned. Adam had done it. He had shown them all that humanity was capable of more than they could ever imagine. For the first time, the galaxy would begin to see the Iron Fist, and the young human behind the controls, in a new light. The journey was just beginning, and Adam knew there was more ahead. But for now, he had won the respect of the galaxy. The news of Adam Soren's victory in the galactic combat trial spread like wildfire across the galaxy. It was the talk of every star system, every spaceport, and every council meeting. The Iron Fist, once seen as a forgotten relic, was now regarded as a symbol of something far greater than anyone had imagined. And Adam, the young human engineer who had transformed it, was no longer an unknown name. His ship had proven itself against the toughest tests, and now, more than ever, the galaxy was watching. Adam had expected the victory to feel different. He thought he would feel proud, and he did. But there was something more, a feeling of responsibility that had begun to weigh on him. The Iron Fist wasn't just a ship anymore. It had become a beacon, a symbol of hope. But it was also a symbol of something else, the potential for unity among the many races of the galaxy. Humanity had long been dismissed as insignificant, often regarded as too young, too small, or too inexperienced to be taken seriously by the advanced civilizations of the galaxy. But now, thanks to the success of the Iron Fist, humanity had proven its worth. The Iron Fist wasn't just a powerful ship. It was proof that humans could create something unique, something worthy of respect. However, not all reactions to Adam's victory were positive. The galaxy was filled with old rivalries, jealousies, and grudges, and not everyone was pleased with humanity's sudden rise to prominence. Some factions saw Adam's success as a threat to their own power. Others feared the idea of a human-led ship becoming a symbol of strength and unity. Adam knew that the road ahead would not be easy. There would be those who sought to undermine him, to tear down what he had built, and yet he couldn't help but feel that this was the beginning of something bigger, a chance to show the galaxy that humans weren't just survivors. They were innovators, peacemakers, and leaders. One day, as Adam was making final adjustments to the Iron Fist's systems in the ship's hangar, a message arrived. It was from the Galactic Council. The message was brief but direct. "We request your presence, Captain Soren, at the upcoming diplomatic summit. Your ship has become a symbol of human ingenuity. We wish to discuss the possibility of alliances and cooperation between our races. Your presence is requested." Adam felt a rush of excitement. A diplomatic summit? This was it. The chance to prove that humanity could be more than just a powerful force. They could be a force for good. Adam knew that if he could represent Earth, he could show the galaxy that humans were capable of much more than fighting. The summit would be held on a neutral space station called the Concordia Nexus. It was a massive structure, built as a meeting point for races from all over the galaxy. The station was designed for peace talks, trade negotiations, and diplomatic discussions. Ships from dozens of different races would be arriving, and Adam would be among them. But this time it wasn't about combat. This time it was about unity. The journey to the Concordia Nexus took several days, and during that time, Adam spent hours preparing. He worked with his ship's AI, refining its diplomatic protocols, ensuring that it could communicate effectively with all the different species that would be present. He read up on the various races he would be meeting, learning about their cultures, their history, and their needs. He knew that this was his chance to show the galaxy that humans were not just soldiers, they were allies, collaborators, and friends. When the Iron Fist finally arrived at the Concordia Nexus, Adam couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. The station was enormous. its sleek design a contrast to the rough exterior of his own ship. Adam had never seen anything like it. Ships from all over the galaxy were docked at the station, each one unique in its design and purpose. There were sleek ships from the peaceful Zinthar Confederation, towering warships from the Zalkar Dominion, and delicate, crystalline vessels from the Felkian Empire. But despite their differences, there was one thing they all shared. They had come to the Concordia Nexus for the same reason: peace. Adam's heart pounded in his chest as he made his way toward the central hall, where the summit would take place. He was nervous, unsure of what to expect. Would the other races accept him? Would they listen to his message of unity, or would they dismiss him as another naive human, dreaming of peace in a galaxy that had known only war? As Adam entered the central hall, he was greeted by a mix of curious stares and skeptical glances. Representatives from every major race in the galaxy were present, sitting in large chairs arranged in a circle. At the center, a holographic display showed the vastness of the galaxy, with various star systems marked in glowing lights. The Galactic Council chairperson, a tall, thin being from the Zelrith race, stood up as Adam entered the room. "Captain Soren," the chairperson said, their voice calm and neutral, "welcome to the Concordia Nexus. We have heard much about you and your ship, the Iron Fist. We are curious to hear your thoughts on the future of humanity's role in the galaxy." Adam took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. This was it, the moment he had been working for. The room was silent, all eyes on him. He stepped forward, standing tall. "I'm not here to talk about the strength of the Iron Fist," Adam began. "I'm here to talk about the strength of humanity. We may not have the long histories of some of your races, or the advanced technologies of others, but we have something that none of you have: the ability to change. We can adapt, grow, and learn from our mistakes. We can build bridges where others build walls. And that's what the Iron Fist represents. Not just power, but the potential for cooperation, for unity, for a better future for all of us." The room was still, the representatives watching him carefully. Adam's words hung in the air, their weight settling over the gathering. He had said it, his vision for humanity, for the galaxy. But would they believe him? Would they accept his offer of peace? After a long moment, the chairperson from the Felkian Empire stood up. "Humanity has a history of violence," they said, their voice low but not unkind. "But your ship has proven that you can rise above that. Perhaps we should consider what we can achieve together." A murmur ran through the room, and one by one, representatives from other races stood, each offering their own thoughts. Some were cautious, others more open, but all seemed willing to listen. The conversation continued for hours, with Adam sharing his ideas, listening to their concerns, and offering solutions. Slowly but surely, the walls between the different races began to lower. It wasn't an easy task. Old grudges ran deep, and centuries of distrust couldn't be erased overnight. But it was a start. As the summit drew to a close, the chairperson of the Galactic Council stood again. "Captain Soren," they said, their tone serious but respectful, "you have shown us that there is more to humanity than we thought. We are not yet ready for full cooperation, but we are willing to explore the possibility of alliances. We will begin with smaller agreements, but we are open to the future." Adam felt a sense of relief wash over him. This was what he had hoped for: progress. It wasn't a full resolution, but it was a start, and that for now was enough. As he left the summit, Adam couldn't help but feel proud. The road ahead would still be difficult. There would be more challenges, more obstacles, and more resistance. But for the first time, humanity was being seen not just as a species of war, but as a species of potential. And in that moment, Adam knew that the Iron Fist wasn't just a ship. It was the first step toward a united galaxy. The days after the diplomatic summit passed quickly, and Adam Soren found himself at the center of something bigger than he had ever imagined. The news of the summit and the discussions of possible alliances spread across the galaxy like wildfire. The races that had once viewed humanity as a minor presence were now starting to see humans as potential allies, partners, and even leaders in certain aspects. It was a remarkable shift, but Adam knew that the true test had only just begun. The Iron Fist, once rejected by many, was no longer just a warship. It had become a symbol of human ingenuity, strength, and hope. But Adam had never seen it that way. To him, the ship was a tool that could help humanity carve out a place in the galaxy, not through brute force, but through cooperation, peace, and understanding. After the summit, the Iron Fist was in high demand. Races from all across the galaxy, from the peaceful Zinthar Confederation to the proud Zalkar Dominion, sought out Adam for discussions, collaborations, and joint ventures. The ship's reputation had grown, and so had Adam's. He was no longer just a young engineer from Earth. He was becoming a legend in his own right. But for Adam, the growing attention didn't matter. What mattered was the chance to help build something that could bring the galaxy together, not tear it apart. Yet, despite the positive attention, there were still those who feared the rise of humanity. Some factions saw the Iron Fist as a dangerous symbol, one that could shift the balance of power in the galaxy. They were wary of the possibility that humans might one day lead the galaxy, and they weren't ready to accept that. Adam understood their fears. He wasn't blind to the fact that humanity's rise had created a stir. But he knew that fear could be overcome. It wasn't just about showing power. It was about showing that humans could be trusted. That was the message he wanted to spread. One day, as Adam was making adjustments to the ship's systems in the hangar, a message came through. It was a request for a private meeting with a high-ranking official from the Galactic Council. Adam felt a sense of unease at the suddenness of the invitation. What could they want now? Had they changed their minds? Was there some new threat on the horizon? He boarded the Iron Fist and set course for the meeting. The journey took several hours, but the time felt long with his thoughts racing. Adam had worked hard to build connections with various races, but there were still many unknowns. What was the council asking of him? And why now? When he arrived at the meeting location, a large space station hidden within a dense nebula, he was greeted by the council chairperson, a dignified being from the Zalkar Dominion. The chairperson led Adam through the station's grand hall, a place filled with diplomatic representatives from many different species. The atmosphere was tense, but Adam remained calm, doing his best to appear confident. The chairperson paused before a large holographic map of the galaxy. "Captain Soren," the chairperson began, their voice steady but serious. "You have achieved much for humanity in a short period of time. Your ship, the Iron Fist, has proven its capabilities, and your actions at the diplomatic summit were commendable. However, we have a difficult request for you." Adam listened intently, not sure where the conversation was heading. "We have received reports," the chairperson continued, "of an emerging threat at the edges of the galaxy. It is a force unlike anything we have faced before. They are known as the Vrikel, a warlike species that has begun attacking peaceful colonies in the Outer Rim. Their technology is primitive compared to ours, but they are ruthless in their tactics, and they are growing stronger." Adam's heart sank. He had feared something like this might happen, an external threat that would force the galaxy into war. The peaceful future he had worked so hard for felt like it was slipping away. "Captain Soren," the chairperson said, their tone softer now, "we are asking for your help. The Iron Fist is a symbol of humanity's potential to unite the galaxy. We believe that, with your ship and your leadership, humanity could help us in repelling this new threat, but we cannot do this alone. We need allies, and your ship could be the catalyst to bring us together." Adam stood silent for a moment, taking in the gravity of the situation. He knew this was a turning point. The peaceful future he had envisioned was now at risk. Yet he also understood something important. The galaxy would not unite by force. It would unite through understanding, through cooperation, and through the belief that every species, every race had something valuable to offer. This was his chance to prove that humanity could lead, not with weapons but with courage and the willingness to fight for peace. "I'll do it," Adam said, his voice firm, "but the Iron Fist won't fight alone. If we are going to defeat the Vrikel, it has to be with the combined strength of every race in the galaxy." The chairperson nodded, a glimmer of respect in their eyes. "We had hoped you would say that. We will coordinate with the other factions. We will send envoys to bring the races together." In the following weeks, Adam and his ship became the centerpiece of a united front against the Vrikel. The galaxy's most advanced ships, once divided by old grudges and distrust, now worked together. The Zinthar Confederation, the Zalkar Dominion, the Felkian Empire. Each race brought something unique to the table, and each played a crucial role in the preparation for the battle. Adam worked tirelessly to ensure that the fleets were coordinated and that their forces were united under one cause: peace. The battle against the Vrykell came sooner than expected. Their forces had pushed deep into the Outer Rim, attacking colonies and creating chaos in their wake. But now, with the combined might of the galaxy's most powerful races united, they had no choice but to face the coming storm. As the Iron Fist led the charge, Adam stood at the command station, his eyes fixed on the battle unfolding before him. The enemy ships were crude, their tactics wild, but Adam and the united fleets held steady. The battle was long, and at times it seemed as if the Vrykell would overwhelm them. But Adam refused to give in. He knew that the galaxy's future depended on this fight. With a final push, the Vrykell forces were driven back, their ships scattered across the battlefield. The victory was hard-earned, but it was a victory nonetheless. And in that moment, Adam realized something. He had done it. The galaxy had come together, not out of fear, but out of a shared desire for peace and unity. The aftermath of the battle saw the start of something new. The Galactic Council, once divided, now recognized the importance of cooperation. The races that had once been distrustful of each other now saw that working together was the only way to ensure a better future, and humanity, led by the Iron Fist and its young captain, was at the heart of this new era. Adam Soren, the engineer from Earth who had once been dismissed as an outsider, had become a legend. The Iron Fist, a ship once rejected by the galaxy, was now a symbol of hope, unity, and the power of cooperation. As Adam stood on the bridge of the Iron Fist, looking out at the stars, he knew that this was just the beginning. There would be more challenges ahead, more obstacles to overcome. But now, with the galaxy united, humanity had a place, a seat at the table of the stars. And together they would face whatever the future held, knowing that they were stronger as one.